Welcome to the Thursday edition of Off the Wire, the daily edition. I am your host, Noel Lynn, aka the Cajun Libertarian, and we have somewhat of a deep and intense episode for you today. So stick with me because it's a little bit rough, but it's something that we have to talk about and it must be shared. All right, let me give you the headline. Is performing pelvic exams on unconscious women without informed consent legal? From Snopes.com. I'm going to go ahead and give you the answer. The answer is yes, it is. And we're going to walk through some of the testimonies from people in the industry that have verified this and the laws that have, I guess, promoted it. I don't know how else to say it. This is absolute horrific, nightmarish stuff. But please stick with me, okay? I'm going to do a good bit of reading here, but a lot of it is going to be testimonials from people within the medical industry. And it's important. It's important because if we don't talk about this kind of stuff, then what are we doing? What is the point of this entire situation? What is the point of my entire platform if all I do is stick to things that are dominating the mainstream arena? If we can't tackle issues and look, I'll be honest with you, it's hard to hear. It's very hard to hear. It's really Orwellian, nightmarish stuff here going on that you're not going to hear from anywhere else. I like digging up this stuff because this is evil. And just by the headline, you should know that, right? And I would hope that just by the headline, you would have your ears perked up and be like, oh, wait a minute now. This is a problem and we need to address it. Headline again, just in case you forgot, is performing pelvic exams on unconscious women without informed consent legal? Answer, yes. Let's get into it. It's going to be a short episode, but lots of reading, lots of testimonial, lots of factual issues going on here. So please stick with me. There's only one way to fight this madness, and that's to be engaged. So I'm asking you to be engaged. Please like the show, share it, follow, subscribe on YouTube, hit the notifications bell so that whenever the show drops, you will know. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, same thing. Hit the notes bell, follow, subscribe, and let's talk about this stuff because this, to me, personally, is from somebody who is a former, that really doesn't count, right? Because I did all of my credentials. I am still certified in all of these arenas in the medical field. Abhorrent. And how many women don't know this is happening to them? Please stick with me. Please share this. Please advise and inform everyone around you because this is insane. And I will prove it. Before we get to that, I do want to show you this right here. It's I really don't know what to say to you. Look, Texas, get your affairs in order. This guy is just completely hammered. And this is beyond comprehension. This is the Texas state legislature. The chairman, I guess, maybe. I don't. Wow. Check this out.
Mr. Speaker, I move adoption.
Mr. Campbell, send the amendment. The amendment is acceptable to the author. Is there objection to the opposite amendment? The chair has none. The amendment is adopted. The chair recognizes Mr. Johnson of Harris. Mr. Johnson of Harris to speak in opposition to the bill.
You want Niave? Chair recognizes Ms. Niave Criado to speak.
The chair recognizes Ms. Niave Criado to speak in opposition to the bill.
Thank you, Ms.
I don't know what to say. I really don't. I just. What do you want me to say? Either the dude is stroking out, which he is clearly not. If you know anything about medicinal practices whatsoever or diagnosis whatsoever, he's not. He's clearly hammered. This clip is going to go viral if it hasn't already, as I'm sitting in my studio right now on 5/24 at 5:33 p.m. I don't know what to say. And for those of you listening later, I'm sorry for the dead silence, but this is a conglomerate of much frustration, not just with what I'm about to go over with you, but also with the state of things in America. I will play that video again at the end because my heart hurts. My heart hurts for these people that are suffering through this in the medical industry and what is happening. What is happening? That dude is clearly hammered beyond recognition. Just absolutely destroyed. That's not actually the issue, is it? It's the fact that he still felt confident enough and bold enough to stand up there in front of the Texas state legislature and do that. That's amazing. Which should obviously lead you down the logical deduction path of he's been doing that a while, many times. We're just now getting a hold of this information. Amazing. This episode is brought to you by @_infinite zeal. That's @_infinite zeal. INFINITEZEAL. Capital I, capital Z @_infinite zeal. Please go check him out on Twitter. Check out the link in his bio, please. And thank you. Dude is an absolute phenomenal advocate for the liberty movement. Puts his money where his mouth is. Has sponsored the entire show for the entire month. Now, excuse me. If you want to sponsor a segment on the show, let me know. You can hit me up. The easiest way to do it, if I don't follow you on Twitter, then just go to my main Facebook page and DM me there or PM me, whatever. Who cares? Let's get into this. Well, I mean, I care, right? Like I mean, who cares? As in, like, where you contact me that much. Or you can email me at thecajunlibertarian.gmail or at thecajunlibertarian@gmail. Speaking freaking social media now. It's weird. Anyway, yes, I'd love to promote your business and your show. So let me know. Now let's get into this. Is performing pelvic exams on unconscious women without informed consent legal? From Snopes.com from 9/24, September 24, 2018. 2018. Now, obviously, any sane person's going to say no. There's no way that should be allowed. This is an obviously egregious act of horrific medicinal practice. Right? Or is it just me? It's not just me. This is horrific. Now, why are we talking about this? Why am I so passionate about this? Because for one, I swore an oath to the United States of America when I joined the military. I swore a Hippocratic oath when I joined the medical field for the U.S. military and for this country as a whole. But it ain't just that. And I'm about to show you why. And I'm going to do it very quickly because we're already at 10 minutes. I want you, as I always tell you, to go back, go to Snopes.com, September 24, 2018. Google this header, and I want you to read this. Don't take my freaking word for it. Read it. Do your own research. I'm going to give you some testimonials. And these testimonials, if you're anything like me that cares about the actual privacy of human beings, especially of freaking women, then you'll want to do this. In my opinion, you don't, then I really don't think that you do care. I care. I'm dedicating an entire segment to it. I dedicated like freaking 2.5 hours of research to come up with this material to deliver to you. I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm telling you where my priorities are, and you can take it for what it's worth. That's all. That is all. Despite widespread condemnation of the practice, performing pelvic exams on unconscious women for medical training without explicit consent is legal in 45 states. 45 states. Doctors and medical students are legally allowed to practice pelvic exams on patients who are under anesthesia without being granted explicit consent to do so. On 19 September of 2018, Bust Magazine highlighted that the disturbing fact that doctors and medical students regularly and legally give anesthetized patients non-consensual pelvic exams. The practice was described in detail in an account critical of the practice written by then medical student Sean Burns and published in the journal Obstetrics and Gynecology in 2012. My apologies. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is obstetrics? The branch of medicine and surgery concerned with childbirth with the care of women giving birth. I want to read that again. Obstetrics. Obstetrics. Now, the branch of medicine and surgery concerned with childbirth and the care of women giving birth. I think you understand the underlying point. For those of you listening later, I did make a very intentional face there. Women giving birth. The definition of obstetrics, the branch of medicine and surgery concerned with childbirth and the care of women giving birth. Because only one construct of the human genome can give birth. Women. I don't care if you identify as a woman. You are not a woman. Period. Full stop. And these articles, these make me so much more equipped and ready to go to war with your absolute destruction and erasure of women. Period. All right, let's continue. Let me simmer down a bit because man, woman, two can't be confused for obvious reasons. Man, woman. That's it. We're done with that conversation, and I'm ending it now. Let's finish up here. I want to get to a little bit of this testimonial, and then it's just horrible, and then we'll end on a funny note. I promise. All right. In obstetrics and gynecology, I encountered the first act of medical training that left me ashamed. For 3 weeks, 4 to 5 times a day, I was asked to and did perform pelvic examinations on anesthetized women without specific consent solely for the purpose of my education. Now, that's a testimonial that gets very deep. Let's see if something else has something to say. My notes here says see Forbes. So here's Forbes.com from 5/14/2018. Pelvic exams on anesthetized women without consent, a troubling and outdated practice. I was surprised to learn that this was still going on today. I would have expected it in teaching hospitals during the 1950s, but not in 2018. But in a recent excellent article by Phoebe Frenzen in the journal Bioethics, she notes that, quote, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, I'm sorry. That the practice is alive and well, end quote. In many U.S. and U.K., United Kingdom medical schools, it's difficult to know exactly how effective patients are, quote unquote, by definition, unaware this is happening. Now, I have seen some articles and commentary asking if this is rape. I would not go that far. That's too much. I'll tell you why. Because I want rapists in jail for life. No possibility of parole. If you are a violent rapist, life, no parole. Minor, adult, otherwise, doesn't matter. You hold a woman down in a violent nature and violently do that, you don't belong in society anymore. And I'll tell you what, if I catch you doing it, yeah, nope. That is sayonara to this plane of existence, to put it mildly. And so I'm not going to sit here and call this rape, which some people have. Is it borderline? I still don't think that either. I don't. But is it unethical in medical malfeasance, in abhorrent on every level? Yes. And I think everyone involved should be held criminally liable. I think you should have your license stripped. And for some of them, I think they should go to jail. And let me give you some examples of these people that I think should go to jail for it. But before I get to that, let me revisit some of this testimony because I think it's important. Typically, this would unfold as follows. I would be assigned a gynecologic surgery case on which to scrub in. Scrub in means that you're going to go into a surgical situation in which it must be anesthetized, the entire situation from head to toe. Must be sanitized, right? Like you have help. I worked in surgery. You have people help put on your garments because everything must be ultra clean. That's what scrub in means. For those that don't know, I would be required to go meet the patient beforehand and introduce myself as quote unquote the medical student on the team. So, or some such vague statement of my role in that procedure without mentioning a pelvic examination. I then would follow the patient into surgery. Once anesthesia was administered and the patient was asleep, the attending or resident, attending means like a student under the, or I'm sorry, the attending physician or the resident physician. Attending physician is the actual doctor. The resident physician is, for lack of a better word, like an intern. An essay was published. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me say this part. To my shame, I obeyed because they did it for educational purposes. Let me skim through a little bit here. As soon as I would, no, I don't want to do that. Here's a this is from a patient. Okay, I said. Then I have one final question. Have you done this in the past? Have you had medical students perform pelvic exams on unknowingly female patients without their specific consent? The answer was yes. And now let's get to some of the reason why I find this abhorrently horrific and that we should be speaking out and fighting against this at all costs. Number one, because nobody else is freaking talking about this. And yet this is a clear human rights violation. And just even the fact that it's being compared to rape, it has to be talked about. And nobody's talking about it. And this goes along with all of the other medical malfeasance that's happened in our country for the sake of the freaking dollar, butchering kids surgically. C-19 stuff. I'm trying to be careful. I have to be careful through this whole freaking episode, so I'm sorry. My God, man. If this isn't a freaking highlighted outlier of which we should be promoting and saying, look at what they're doing. They're literally performing pelvic being the mild way of putting it, exams on women without consent, without their knowledge. Then what else are they doing to you? What else are they doing to you? My God. How is this not a very freaking important episode? Here are some of the excuses. When I mentioned this to some of my non-medical friends, both male and female, their dominant reactions were horror and anger. One friend pointedly asked, quote unquote, how is that not rape? Bryson also discusses some attempted justifications for this practice. One common argument is that, quote unquote, it is good for society. Man, I don't, man. The practice will make the trainee a better doctor, which will benefit future patients, even if it doesn't benefit the current patient being examined. Let me ask you a question. If this wasn't a real issue, if this does not extend beyond the current topic matter, then why don't they just ask for consent? If you can answer that, please do. The fact of the matter is that this is just the tip of the spear. How much are they doing without your consent, without your knowledge, without your explicit access to information? What else are they doing? Let's continue, and then we're going to wrap up. Another common argument is that, quote unquote, and I can't make this up, it's no big deal. My God. You're examining a woman's private parts without their consent. It's no big deal. What else is no big deal then? Explain that to me. What the F else is no big deal if examining a woman's private parts while she's unconscious is not a big deal without their consent? This isn't a high school party. If it was, they'd be in jail for rape. But because they have some sort of freaking free pass, all of a sudden it's not a big deal? Man, kiss my ass. Another common argument is that it's no big deal. It's a relatively minor act that causes no harm. Yeah, well, there's a lot of relatively minor acts that don't cause harm, but you should still ask the person for consent to do so. A third attempted justification is that patients coming to a teaching hospital implicitly allow their bodies to be used for education purposes. If they consent to it, and that no further explicit consent for such a pelvic exam is necessary. Get bent. I'm done. I'm done here. I'm sorry. I'll leave it there. You can go look it up. I'll give you the Snopes. September 24, 2018 was the original. Forbes.com 5/14/2018 is the other one that confirms it. I can't. That is infuriating. And probably I take this a little bit more personally than a lot of people do because I'm very established in the medical community. I can't comprehend how anybody wouldn't be just absolutely disgusted by hearing something like that. What else are they doing without your consent? It's just another notch in the board on your absolute paramount responsibility to become self-sufficient, learn your medicine, learn what's natural, and just abandon the medical industry. I don't know what else to say, y'all. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people aren't going to find this particular topic super, interesting because it does not affect their daily lives, but I have to talk about it. I have to because it's just disgusting on every level. To me, it's just the worst, the bottom of the barrel type of medical whatever malfeasance. To me, it's malfeasance. It's absolute evil and malpractice and disgusting that you would do this to an unconscious woman without her freaking consent. It's beyond my comprehension. And then to justify it, saying like it's no big deal. Literally, no, they said no big deal. It's no big deal. What world is this? It's not one that I want to live in. My bad. Okay. Meaning I want to change it in every strength and fiber of my being. I'm going to be here and I'm going to change it because our medical field is lost. And this is kind of like the final straw for me. I don't know how we move on with them beyond that. Let's have a laugh before we get out of here. I'm sorry, this was not supposed to last this long. It's unbelievable to me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, your president of the United States of America. One of the most popular segments that's happened really quickly. Here you go.
If they have to pay out $159 billion lead. Go ahead, you got it.
It's too funny. I want to play it.
If they have to pay out $159 billion lead. Go ahead, you got it.
It's remarkable because this is the second time at a minimum that dude is so visibly frustrated that he can't even spit out the most basic terminology or mathematics at the very minimum, that he's gotten like 27 prompters everywhere, or at least on a sheet of paper. and he's so visibly upset and frustrated. So I'll leave it there. And I hope this episode finds you well, and it's something that you care about, because it's alarming to say the least. And I am going to do everything that I can to stop it. I actually left Infinite Zeal's handle up there the entire time. That's awesome. My bad. @_Infinite Zeal. He has sponsored this entire month. So I'll leave it right there. I love each and every one of you. I will see you tonight. Actually, I have a very, very, very special episode with a very special guest tonight that will be live. If it changes, I'll let you know. But wow, I am shocked at the guest that I'm going to be having tonight and what we're going to talk about. So see you tonight. Also, I'll see you tomorrow. Same Cajun time, same Cajun channel. Galatians 2:20, and I am